May 23rd, for 2 Samuel 2:12 through 3:29. Now Abner the son of Ner and the servants of Ishabeth the son of Saul went out from Menemeth to Gibeon, and Joab the son of Zurah and the servants of David went out to meet them in the pool of Gibeon. So they sat down, one on one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool. Then Abner said to Joab, "Let the young men now arise and compete before us." And Joab said, "Let them arise." So they arose and went over by number, 12 from Benjamin, followers of Ishabeth, the son of Saul, and 12 from the servants of David. And each one grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in his opponent's side. So they fell down together. Therefore that place was called the Field of Sharp Swords, which is in Gibeon. So there was a very fierce battle that day, and Abner and the men of Israel were beaten before the servants of David. Now the three sons of Zerah were there, Joab, and Jersab, and Eshel. And Eshel was as fleet on the foot as a wild gazelle. So Eshel preserved Abner in the going, and did not turn from the right hand or from the left hand from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, "Is that you, Eshel?" And he answered, "I am." And Abner said to him, "Turn aside to your right hand or to your left, and lay hold on one of the young men, and take his armor for yourself." But Eshel would not turn aside from following him. So Abner again said, "Eshel, turn aside from following me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then can I face your brother Joab?" However, he refused to turn aside. Therefore Abner struck him in the stomach with the blunt end of the spear, so that the spear came out of his back, and he fell down there and died on the spot. So it was that many who came to that place where Eshel fell and died stood still. And Joab and Asher pursued Ashadai, also pursued Abner, and the sun was going down. And when they came to the hill of Amath, and it is before Gilah, in the road to the wilderness of Gibeon, now the children of Benjamin gathered together behind Abner and became a unit, and took their stand on top of the hill. Then Abner called Joab and said, "Shall the sword devour forever? Do you not know it will be bitter in the latter end? How long will it be until you tell the people to return from pursuing their brethren?" And Joab said, "As God lives, unless you had spoken, surely, but then by morning all the people would have given up pursuing their brother." So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the people stood still and did not pursue Israel any more, nor did they fight any more. Then Abner and his men went on all that night through the plain, crossed over the Jordan, and went through Bisron, and they came to Balahalim. So Joab returned from pursuing Abner, and when they had gathered all the people together, there were missing of David's servants 19 men, and Eshel. But the servants of David had struck down of Benjamin, Abner's men, 363 men, 663 and 6 men, who died. Then they took up Asher and buried him in his father's tomb, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at daybreak. Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David grew stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker. Sons were born to David at Hebron. The firstborn was Amon of Ishbah of the Jezreelites. The second was Chileab by Abigail, the widow of Nabal, the Carmelite. The third was Absalom, the son of Maachah, the daughter of Talmaiah, king of Geshur. The fourth was Adadiah, the son of Haggith; the fifth, Sephram, the son of Abedel; the sixth, Ithram, by David's wife Elach. And these were born to David in Hebron. Now it was so, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner was strengthening his hold on the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rishbus, the daughter of Elas. And Ishabus said to Abner, "Why have you gone into my father's concubine?" And Abner became very angry at the words of Ishbus and said, "Am I a dog's head that belongs to Judah? Today I show loyalty to the house of Saul your father, to your brothers and to his friends, and have not delivered you into the hand of David. And you charge me today with the fault concerning this woman?" May God do so to Abner, and more also, if I do not do for David, the Lord has sworn to him, as the Lord has sworn to him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and set up the house of David over Israel, over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner another word because he feared him. Then Abner sent messengers on his behalf to David, saying, Whose Whose is the land? Also saying, Make your covenant with me, and indeed my hand shall be with you, and bring all Israel to you. And David said, Good, I will make a covenant with you, but one thing I require of you, you shall not see my face unless you first bring back Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come to see my face. So David sent messengers to Ishabah, Saul's son, saying, Give me my wife Michal, who I betrothed to myself for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishabah sent and took her from her husband, from Palal, the son of Laish. Then her husband went along with her to Baram, weeping behind her. So Abner said to him, Go return. And he returned. Then Abner had communicated with the elders of Israel, saying, In time past you were seeking for David to be king over you. Now then do it. For the Lord has spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and the hand of all their enemies. And Abner also spoke in the hearing of Benjamin. Then Abner also went to speaking in the hearing of David in Hebron, and all seemed good to Israel and the whole house of Benjamin. And Abner and 20 men with him came to David at Hebron, and David made a feast for Abner and the men who were with him. Then Abner said to David, I will arise and go and gather all Israel to the Lord my king, that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may reign over all that your heart desires. So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. At that moment, the servants of David and Joab came from a raid and brought much spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. Then Joab and all the troops that were with him had come. They told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he sent him away, and he has gone in peace. Then Joab came to the king and said, What have you done? Look, Abner came to you. Why is it that you sent him away? And he is already gone. Surely you realize Abner, the son of Ner, came to deceive you, to know you're going and you're coming in, and all that you are doing. When Joab had gone from David's presence, he sent messengers after Abner, who brought him back to the well of Sirah. But David did not know it. Now, when Abner had returned to Hebron, Joab pulled him aside in the gate to speak to him privately, and there he stabbed him in the stomach, so that he died for the blood of Eshel his brother. Afterward, when David heard it, he said, My kingdom and I are guiltless before the Lord forever of the blood of Abner, son of Ner. Now let it rest on the head of Joab and all his father's house, and let there never fail to be in the house of Joab one who has a discharge, or is a leper, or who leans on a staff, or falls by the sword, or who lacks bread. So Joab and Ashbeth his brother, so Joab and Ashbeth his brother killed Abner, because he had killed his brother Eshel at Gibeon in battle. And David said to Joab and all the people who were with him, Tear your clothes and gird yourselves with sackcloth and mourn for Abner. And the king David followed the coffin. So they buried Abner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept, and gave Abner at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king sang a lament over Abner and said, Should Abner die as a fool dies at your hands? Your hands were not bound, nor your feet put in fetters. As a man falls before wicked men, so you fell. Then all the people wept over him again. And when all the people came to persuade David to eat food while it was still day, David took an oath, saying, God do so to me, and more also, if I taste bread or anything else till the sun goes down. And all the people took note of it, and it pleased them, since whatever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it had not been the king's intent to kill Abner, son of Ner. Then the king said to the servants, Do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? and I am weak today, though anointed king, and these men of Zareth are too harsh for me. And the Lord will shall repay the evildoer according to his wickedness. First John 13, 1 through 30. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. At the supper being ended, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given him all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel with which he had girded. Then he came to Simon Peter, and Peter said to him, Lord, are you washing my feet? And Jesus answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this. Peter said to him, you should never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, if I do not wash you, you will have no part of me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but my hands and my head. Jesus said to him, he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but he is completely clean. But you are clean, but not all of you. For he knew who would betray him. Therefore he said, you are all not clean. So when he had washed their feet and taken his garment and sat down again, he said to them, do you know what I have done for you today? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done. Most assuredly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. I do not speak concerning all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled. He who eats his bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you before it comes, that when it comes to pass, you may believe that I am he. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. When Jesus had said these things, he was troubled in the spirit and testified and said, most assuredly, I say to you, one of you will betray me. Then the disciples looked at one another, perplexed about whom he spoke. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of the disciples whom Jesus loved. Simon Peter therefore motioned to him to ask who it was of whom he spoke. Then, leaning back on Jesus' breast, he said to him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is he whom I shall give a piece of bread, when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. Now, after the piece of bread, Satan entered him. Then Jesus said to him, what you do, do quickly. But no one at the table knew for what reason he said this to him. For some thought, because Jesus had the money box, that Jesus had said to him, buy those things we need for the feast, or that we should give something to the poor. Having received the piece of bread, he went out immediately, and it was night. Psalms 119, 1 through 16. Alpha. Blessed are the undefiled in the way, the who walk in the law of the Lord. Blessed are those who keep his testimonies, who seek him with the whole heart, who also do no iniquity and walk in his ways. You have commanded us to keep your precepts diligently. Oh that my ways were directed to keep your statutes. Then I would not be ashamed. When I look into all your commandments, I will praise you with uprightness of heart. When I lean on your righteous judgments, I will keep your statutes. Oh, do not forsake me utterly. Beth, how can a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed according to your word. With my whole heart I have sought you. Oh, let me not wander from your commandments. Your word I have hidden in my heart, that I might not sin against you. Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your statutes. With my lips I have declared all the judgments of your mouth. I have rejoiced in the way of your testimonies as much as all the riches. I will meditate on your precepts and com- com- con- contemplate your ways. I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. Proverbs 15:29-30. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoices the heart, and a good report makes the bones healthy. Okay. See y'all tomorrow.